Hi everyone. In this video we are going to discuss about reports. Generally, reports we can divide into two kinds. One is classical report, another one is ALV reports. Classical reports are displayed using write statements. In classical reports we have two types. One is standard reports, in that all the data will be displayed in a single screen. Interactive reports. In interactive reports, we will be moving from one screen to other screen based on the value of the first screen. And ALVs are ABAP listware reports. In that we have different types of ALVs: classical ALV, grid ALV, hierarchical ALV. In hierarchical ALV we have tree ALV and classical hierarchical ALV, and all this has interactiveness. Means either we can display direct ALVs or we can add interactive functionality for every ALV, so that will become interactive ALV reports. Before going to this directly into the reports, so let us discuss first about what are the events in the reports. As we know, reports are event driven. ABAP reports are event driven, means they will be executing based on the events only. The basic and the list of events are load of program, initialization, at selection screen output, at selection screen on value request, at selection screen on field, at selection screen, at selection screen on end of, at selection screen on exit command, start of selection, end of selection, top of page, end of page. And interactive events, classical interactive events are at line selection, at user command, top of page during line selection. These are the list of events which we will be using in classical as well as ALV, and interactive events we will be using in only classical interactive reports. So each event in the program has a specific purpose. I'll give you a small overview about each event. Load of program event will be triggered when the program starts loading for the execution. Means if the program has a selection screen, or if it doesn't have a selection screen also, the first event which will be triggered is the load of program. Next will be initialization. One more thing to tell: load of program generally we will use it for any authorization checks. Means before displaying the screen itself, if you want to validate any authorizations based on a user or something like that, we will be keeping under load of program. Initialization event is to set a default values to the selection screen parameters or to any variables. This will also trigger only once. Next, at selection screen output. At selection screen output event is used to manipulate the selection screen based on a user action. We can say based on the condition. Means like if we have any radio buttons or checkboxes in the screen, by clicking one radio button, if we want to hide few fields like these kind of screen modifications, we will be doing it under at selection screen output. Next, at selection screen on value request. This event is to set a program defined value help, means F4 help internally in the program. Means suppose we have a material number. For the material number we will be getting standard search help automatically, but if you want to set some values for your program, then we will be using on value request event. Or if the field what we are using doesn't have any standard or custom search help, then we can use this at selection screen on value request event to set the internal F4 help functionality to the field. Next, at selection screen on field. This event is used to validate a single field which is mentioned after this event on field. So it inside this event we will be getting the value of this field so that we can validate it. And here we should observe, sometimes we will not be getting another field value inside one field event. In the sense, suppose there are two events for two fields, then it is not sure compulsory that the field value should be available in the next field event under this event. So this at selection screen on field event is to validate a single field. Next, at selection screen. At selection screen event is used to validate multiple fields. Here we need to observe. Suppose in selection screen we have 10 fields. If we are keeping 10 validations for 10 fields separately, then if one field is raising an error, other fields in a selection screen will be disabled till that error is corrected. But in case of at selection screen, if any error raised, all the fields in the selection screen will be in editable mode. So generally we'll be using at selection screen in normally any reports. But if you are specific and if you want to do the field wise validations, then we will be using at selection screen on field. Next, at selection screen on and off. Generally this event we will not be using much, as this is mainly for select options. The next one is at selection screen on exit command. This event will be triggered when we are exiting from the program. Exiting from the program means not from the report output but from the selection screen itself. If we are exiting out of complete program to refresh any variables kind of thing, then this event at that scenario we can use this event. Next one is start of selection. So start of selection is the event which under this we will be writing database queries. In the sense, if we want to get any data from the database, then we will be writing under the start of selection. If we did not mention any events in the report, we have only the code in the report without any event, then by default start of selection is the event which will be triggered. So generally the start of selection plays a crucial role when we are using logical database inside the programs. Means system will think that from after the start of selection, the logical database will be getting the data from the tables. So if we are using logical database, then it is compulsory that we have to use end of selection, as system knows, as system will identify that end of selection is the closing line for the start of selection. That means it's kind of loop. Start of selection and end of selection acts as a loop in case of logical databases. Generally we will come to know that in future, if you are dealing with, if you are working with any logical database like HR ABAP kind of thing. And the best way to use is keep all your database queries inside under the start of selection and displaying kind of things under the end of selection. Next, top of page. This top of page is event only purely for classical reports. Like if you are displaying using write statements, then we will be using top of page if we want, and same end of page, this will be triggered on the bottom of the page. Like we can set number of lines to the page, all these things we can set it. Next, classical interactive events. We have three different events here. Generally, top of page during line selection is used to set. Then in classical report, if we are, we'll call it as a list, number of list screens that will be triggered in interactive report. So if you want to set the interactive list screen top of page, then we will be using top of page during line selection. And at line selection is the event which will be triggered if we are doing any action in the classical report. At user command will be used only if we are creating a custom PF status in the program. Only for those actions at user command will be triggered. For better understanding, to understand all the events, the sequence of events clearly, declare all the events, keep the breakpoints inside every event, and write some sample code in the program and execute it, so that you can find what are the sequence of the events that will be getting triggered. For this, I am going to tell you what is as I'm telling you here. As per my sequence, see, this is first one is load of program, next one is initialization, at selection is output. These three events will be triggered before displaying the selection screen, and afterwards load of program and initialization will not be triggered at all. It's only the single time those two events will be triggered, but before displaying the selection screen, these are the three events that will be triggered: load of program, initialization, and at selection screen output. If we are doing any modification or any action in the selection screen, then at selection screen output and at selection screen on field, at selection screen events will be triggered. So these are the interview questions that you need to remember. So for better understanding, as I told you, keep the breakpoints in all the events, try to execute and see. And before we are going into the reports, so my assumption is that the person who is watching this video knows how to declare a variables and how to create internal tables, work areas, and how to work with select statements, all these things. Okay, let's go to the simple classical reports. As I told you, classical reports will be displaying with the help of write statement. I am commenting all the events and simply displaying simple program how to display some output. So in start of selection, also I'm not keeping it. It will work if you keep it, no problem. But for best practices, so we will use end of selection to display it. Hi, this is my first program. And I'm commenting all the events, and I'm not giving this also. Let's think that it's the first program, execute it. So this is called a classical report output. We cannot do any customization like adding some graphics kind of things in these reports. It's only the plain text that we can display using a simple simple horizontal lines or vertical lines. Using that we can display as a tables and normal text. Nothing else we can do it here. Now let us use one small select statement to display the data. So let's declare let us declare an internal table which has some fields. I am just using MARA table, Mara type MARA, and in startup selection select star from MARA into table IT underscore MARA up to 100 rows, and in end of selection I am displaying it IT Mara into work area underscore MARA, right work area Mara Matner, work area Mara material type material group, work area Mara MTART material type. So I'm just simply displaying these three. So here what I'm doing, I'm simply looping this internal table and passing the values into one by one into work area. I'm displaying it. If we execute it, the output has come. See, if you see here, the first three will be output for the first record, the second will be for the second record. This is not actually organized. The data is continuously trying to display in a single line, but we don't want like that. So we have a right in right strip end, we have a small command to display a new line. If you see here, after every line we are calling a new line, so it's displaying one after the other, and we have so many options to format the classical report in a better way. Like if we keep in the front, then there will be no gaps coming after each line. And if you want to display as a boxes, then we need to use psi u line or u line. For displaying a vertical columns, we need to use a variable psi v line. So psi u line is a horizontal line with a single character, and u line is a predefined keyword to display a horizontal line from starting of the line to ending of the line. So let us use the uline statement here and see how actually it displays. So uline and activate and execute. If you see here, the horizontal line has come from the starting of the line to the end of the line. So here, if you want to limit the size and starting point of the uline, then you should give uline. This will be the from which location you want to start, from which position you want to start, and next one is how much length you want. So I have just simply given uline starts from first position and it should be of 30 length. Activate, execute. If you see here, both first uline has displayed first the data has displayed, and uline horizontal line is replace the line, because when we are calling the uline, we mentioned the position, but we did not pass the cursor to the new line, next line. So the existing line is overlapped. So for this we have one more thing. We can use new line keyword, which actually calls a separate line. As you can see, the length of the horizontal line is shortened. Then we can use side V line to print a vertical line. Activate and run. Generally these vertical lines, if you see the right statement, the system will be allocating the space for work area marker. After that, the next data will be displayed. The space will be reserved based on the size of the variable. So SciVLN has come after the material number length. Likewise, we can actually design a table kind of look in the classical report. This has not come because the length of the U line we have mentioned as a 30. So we can increase that. Let's increase to 50 and let's add one more SciV line, vertical line here. Activate and execute. So here we can see that three values are formatted as a table. We have to design this in a proper way to look better. Like there should not be any extra lines like under construction building. So to make it beautiful, we should work little bit hard to format it. So I think we have to give here 39. Perfect. It's only for only sample purpose I have designed this, but you have to make it better. Like it should display as a pure table. Means there should be one more SciV line here and mention the position as 1. Means it will be starting from first position. Activate, execute. So we have moved. Why the last line has come, U line has come shorted is because we have moved the data 2 characters aside. Because the starting of the position is 1 and V line takes one more bit. So it moved 2 characters forward. This how we need to format the classical report. Now I am double clicking on this. No action is getting triggered. But generally there is an action that will be triggered here. If you want to capture that, if you want to see that, simply write at live selection event and execute. If you double click on it, that will be triggered. All the time these events will be working, but when can we capture? When if we activate the event, then only we will get a control to handle those events. Likewise, use top of page and rest of the events. Now let us actually see how the interactive reports can be done. We have three kinds of techniques, or we have three ways to achieve the interactive reports in classical list. One is using outline selection. In the outline selection, we have to use hide command. Hide command is used to store the data in a temporary buffer. Whenever the action is triggered, the data what we have stored will come to the variable as per the selection. The hide command, after the hide command, prerequisites are we have to use the hide command after the write statement, and we need to mention what are the fields that we want it in the interactive event. So here for the testing purpose I want to get all these three variables in the interactive event, means outline selection. So this is the syntax for hide statement. It's a very simple thing. Simply we need to use this hide keyword. Afterwards mention what are all the variables that you want to hide it. In outline selection, we are simply keeping a breakpoint. Let us observe what are the values are coming. I am simply displaying it. I am selecting the second one. So this is how it actually works. Inside the loop, every data will be moved to the buffer using this statement. So based on the location what we are clicking, the system will be identifying the record which is displayed on the particular line. Then it will be values will be get into the same variables which we use in the hide statement. As you can see, the second material number has come. So let's execute and check the next one. I'm clicking on 22. If you see here, the 22 has come. So this is one of the approach to do the interactive reports. So let us keep the same and let us know the two more ways that we can get the value what we have clicked in the report. So let's simply keep it here. For the second way of getting the value what we have clicked is SAP Lysel. SAP Lysel is a system variable which will store the line what we have clicked. As you can see here, this is the line that I have clicked. The complete row will be captured in this variable. So if you want to do the next action or further action based on the value, then here you need to capture the position of the value, means from which position to which position the variable is displaying. So that we need to use and we need to pass it to the another variable. Likewise we need to capture. I'll declare a small variable here for testing purpose, lv underscore data. Think that lv underscore Matner, type Matner. Here LV underscore Matner is equals to psi Lysel plus from which position to which position. Let us assume I am keeping 12, means from position 2 to 12 characters will be placed in a material number. So activate this, execute, and double click on anything. Now, so if you click on this variable, then it will show you what value is coming between 2 to 12. So this is the value. It has come out. So let's keep the breakpoint after this so that we can understand what value we are moving. Activate, execute, double click on the variable. It has gone there. If you see, it is storing 24 because we are moved the value of Lysel from 2 to 10, 12, so that that value is moved to the variable. So this is one approach that we can capture the values in interactive event. And the last approach is get the selected value from the report. For that, we have a statement, we have a syntax called get cursor. This statement will get what field we have clicked on and what value it has. The syntax for this is get cursor field name will be, we have to declare two variables here. One is to store the field name and another one is to store the value. So I did not declare here. Let us declare data LV field. Give anything, any length, no problem, but make sure that your field name means it will be this. Work area Mara Matner is the field name which you are using to display. So this will be your field name. So let us keep this thing before the breakpoint so that we can know the value. Activate it and execute it. So click on any value. The LV matter 38 has come. See here, first 38 we have placed, and this statement will get the value field. This field is means whatever the position we are double clicking, what field is underlying on that position, that field name and the value of that field, that will be get, and we are placing in these two variables. So likewise we can achieve the interactiveness in the classical reports. So for better understanding, if you are using one approach, comment it and see the output of the next event, next method. So here the field has come and the value what we have clicked is 44. In this, if we compare these three methods, hide method is one of the best way to use for the interactive purpose, because let us discuss about what are the disadvantages of, what are the limitations we have for other two techniques, so that you know the advantage of the hide method. If you see for the method which we are explaining, get cursor, suppose like if we want to click, the requirement is like if we double click on the material, then it should call the material master transaction. in that case, how we will be getting the value? If the user clicks on the material only, then we will be getting the material value. Suppose the user clicked on other location, then we will get that field, not the material number. So get cursor method has a limitation that the user has to click on the particular place where we are given the option to achieve the interactive report. Same wise, if we are using the second method of getting the value based on sili select, this will work perfectly. But in future, if the position of the column is changed, then that will not be working, because we are capturing the value based on the hard coded position. So this method will fail if the column name is shifted in the future. So every time the table layout is changed or report layout is changed, we need to take care of this thing. So as comparing these two methods, hide method is the best way to achieve it, because what are all the variables we are used to hide it, that values will come automatically whenever we do the selection. Like suppose I am calling transaction mm03, skip and skip first screen. So first of all, I need to set some value to the transaction. This is a sample basic syntax. Set so this is fine. Don't confuse using these statements and these two. I'm just simply showing it. So execute, let's keep a breakpoint here. Execute, click on 29, then I set this parameter 29 and I'm calling the transaction. So the material 29 has set in this field and it called to the move to the next screen. So if you click back, then it will again go to our program. So this is a simple way of showing it. So let us do one thing. Let us display some other values here. Then a new list screen will be called. We can identify by, let's activate the top of page event. Write my first page. Here I am simply writing write my, let's think that we are displaying that value what we have selected, work area Mara Matner, and I am opening top of page of the secondary list screen. Right, this is secondary screen. So save it, activate it, execute it. Now I am clicking 29. Here I have displayed the material number. See, observe this. The top of page has come. This is the second screen. 29. If you click again, it will go to the secondary list, means it is actually third list screen. You can identify that screen number based on psi, li, once again, there will be one variable which gives us what is the screen. Yes, ls index. Remember this variable. I'll show you now the difference. lsind, this is a 2, means this is secondary list screen. Execute it. Now you're actually in secondary screen. Click on it. Now see, the list index has changed, means you are in a third screen. So if you want to go to the previous screen, back, back 3 times, because we have moved forwarded to 3 pages. So this list index variable will be used if you want to keep the headings or some kind of things based on the number of list screen. Means if suppose you want to keep 3 level of interactiveness. First, if you click on material, then it has to display some data, and if you click on that data, then that another data has to display based on that. So psi list index is a variable which helps us to identify currently we are in what list screen. So I am simply keeping this. So here I am writing third screen. So activate it. I am removing this breakpoint also, and activate. Execute. See, this is my first page. This is top of page of first normal screen. Then I am clicking on 2. Now this is actually first index, but the top of page has not come because we have given if condition for index 2 and index 3. Now this is the secondary screen, that is third screen. So this is how the interactiveness will work. As I told you, using the get cursor or hide any of the techniques, you can capture the values, an interactive event, and use it. So this is the basic detail about the events and the interactive events, and how the interactive events will be used, and what are the approaches to achieve the interactiveness in the classical report. And we will be discussing about ALVs in the next video. And before leaving, this video is purely made to understand the events, both normal events and interactive events, not for any designing a complex kind of thing. It's to give the basic idea how you have to use the interactive events in a classical list report. Hope you understand. If any doubts, please comment below. Thank you very much.